Okay, everybody, welcome back to another edition of the Curlin Community Connection. We are back to All Politics Are Local, and we're working our way through all the mayors and Scottsdale City Council candidates. And today we are joined by a former neighbor of mine down in the southern part of Scottsdale in the Hohokam Elementary area. This gentleman is currently a technical analyst for State Farm, a graduate like me from the ASU Sun Devil Academy, also known as ASU Sun Devils. And originally from Kansas, I would like y'all to welcome City Council candidate Kevin Maxwell. Hi, Kevin.
Hey, Scottsdale. Hey, Eric. How are you?
I am swell. I am wonderful. The way things work here is that you are doing us a service, and I'm trying to spread a little knowledge on everybody. You do not come onto this show as an endorsement of my candidacy for the House of Representatives in District 23, but we do talk a little bit about politics. This is not, as I said, an endorsement, and I'm not expecting anything from you other than honest answers and giving knowledge to the people. I will try to ask you the same questions around where I ask others that have been on the program and will be on the program, but this is really about a community conversation. So the direction it goes is the way we go. And I do ask that all the people who come on this show, please do not cry. No whining. No whining, no, just as you remember in Pishke's, no sniveling.
That's right. The old Pishke. That's right.
Okay, Kevin, why don't you tell us a little bit about you? Why are you the most qualified to be on that council?
Well, thanks a lot for again having me today. And I want to say Curlin Community, what is it? 3 times fast?
Curlin Community Connection. It changes all the time, but I do like alliterations. I'm a former teacher at language arts.
No, I've lived in Scottsdale 30 years, and so I've seen the city, blossom from the beginning, and it's just such a great place to live. We all love it so much. As I look at the city council and moving forward, as we go into this difficult economy we're going to have, and as society gets more and more complex and the issues get harder to define, I think that it's really important that people who sit on the city council are very diverse in their background, their experiences, right? And so I think that my experience in business, my experience with the community, my experience with nonprofits, my educational background, all lends me to be a unique candidate for Scottsdale City Council, somebody who's well-rounded and very tied into the issues. So that's what we need on City Council, because it's, anything can happen in the city. And so those people need to be prepared. I'm like the utility infielder that, can win an MVP. So I can play all 3 positions, all 4 positions. So there's a lot of great candidates out there running, but a lot of them are super focused on one particular issue, and they're really good at that issue, and they're advocating for that, and they're very passionate about that one issue. But I have a really broad background and broad experience, and I think that's been serving me well in city council.
Yeah, very good. And full disclosure, your wife is a friend of mine, Bronwyn. We used to work together in Scottsdale Unified School District when I was still working there, and she is currently working there. And so, hello, Bronwyn, out there. You did mention a little bit about your well-roundedness. I was looking on your website, and if anybody wants to get more information on Kevin, you can go to Maxwell for Scottsdale, and the 4 is spelled out F-O-R. And that's .com. So maxwellforscottsdale.com. Give a look-see. If you don't get what yep, there it is. Boom. Yeah, I see it right there. Okay, so you, sir, you were on a couple of boards. You are on a couple of board of directors. One, Scottsdale Leadership, another Family Promise, and you were on the Airport Advisory Board, but you had to resign in order to run for the council. That's the one that's closest to the city right now. It's a city committee. Was there anything that you kind of learned or gleaned from that committee that you want to bring with you to the council if you're elected?
Yeah, there is actually. I served for 3 years on the airport. And by the way, before I get started, I want to say that I was on the board of Scottsdale Leadership. I've termed out. So I did that formally. But,
wait a second. Is that a nice way of saying they kicked you out?
Actually, I was done. I did my time in 3 years, and I enjoyed it. But they want to give somebody else a chance, so they asked me that.
I'm just kidding. Yeah. Thank you for serving.
No, I get it. So no, but the Airport Advisory Commission, I was on for 3 years. I just been appointed my second term. I could have served another 3 years term, but I decided to run for city council, so I had to relinquish that position. But you know what? What I realized that there's some really There's some neighbors that live north of the airport who were really impacted by the airport noise coming out of the airport. Now, it's really kind of a complicated problem because there's actually two things going on simultaneously that both have to do with airport noise. And even though they're both bothering the residents that live in the north part of our city, they're kind of mutually exclusive in that the root cause of the problem are different. Without going into a whole lot of detail, there was for commercial aviation, the FAA rerouted some traffic coming out of Sky Harbor Airport due to a lawsuit by the citizens in downtown Phoenix. And the city of so the FAA had to reroute some traffic. When they did that, it inadvertently, well, not inadvertently, but then it caused Scottsdale residents to be affected when they weren't as much affected before. So there's a lot of commercial flights that are approaching Sky Harbor that now fly directly over Scottsdale, and that's a problem for our residents. And the city council is working on that. It's an FAA decision. There's a lawsuit going on, and well, there's a whole bunch of stuff going on legally. It's done out of FAA in Washington D.C. So there's really some good citizen community groups that are working on that effort. But what I'm working on, what I want to talk about is a different issue. It also has to do with noise coming out of Scottsdale, but what's driving this is private flight schools. Just to give you a quick background in what's going on in the commercial aviation business, there's a glut of senior airport pilots, and they're all going to be retiring in the next 5 to 10 years. So there's a big, huge vacuum of qualified airline pilots. So if you're a pilot and you want to get in the aviation business and be a commercial airline pilot, now's the time to do it because there's a big glut coming. But there's a lot. So what's happened is there's a lot of flight schools that have been popped up. There used to be there's a lot of flight schools, but then they more than doubled in the last couple of years. And these flight schools, when they take off out of Scottsdale Airport, they're going to the north part of the city and they're doing their maneuvers or training, their climbing, their turns, things like that. And they're doing it what was designated as training areas 30 years ago, 35 years ago, right? The FAA put them on the map. This is where you go train at. Well, in the last 35 years, obviously, that encroachment has happened, and those areas we're practicing at are now populated by homes and families. So they're flying, very low. So there's two things. They're flying up there to do practices. There's also the areas called congested and uncongested, and there's different flight altitudes. If it's deemed to be congested, you have to fly over 2,500 feet, and if it's uncongested, you can fly under 1,500 feet, around that. So I like to petition the FAA and work with them to redesignate some of those areas so that these flight schools have to fly a little bit higher and maybe go out a little bit further to do their stuff. And I think that would alleviate a lot of the noise that some of our residents are having. Now, that wouldn't require a lawsuit. It wouldn't require an act of Congress. It wouldn't require the FAA in Washington, D.C. or anything like that. If we had a good citizen movement, a local FAA can update the navigational charts, and then that they would be going to that area as they described by the charts. So, simple solution to a really difficult problem.
All right, we're talking with Kevin Maxwell here, a candidate for Scottsdale City Council. If you have any questions you'd like him to answer or try to answer, you go ahead and type them into the Facebook feed. Our friend Andy Gomez will then put it in the Zoom, and by the magic of technology, of which Kevin's very adept, we will get that answered as best as we can. So Scottsdale, I think, is just a wonderful place to live. I see it all the time. We've had some, in the last few years, I've noticed a little bit more bubbling up of these divergent kind of camps. One of the things that really, I wouldn't say divided the community, but really sort of solidified was the 420 campaign. So now that's been settled. It seems like some people still have some hurt feelings, but let's just get to the overall general community neighborhood nature. We have divergent views here in Scottsdale. How do you bring them together? How do you help heal the dialogue?
Well, I'm really encouraged by what happened last fall with the bond election and the 3 questions that were approved overwhelmingly by the citizens, around 70%, I believe what the number was. That was something that as we were coming out of 420 and looking to fund some of our infrastructure needs. There was a really concern that we would have the same type of fragmented philosophy on this. And the people who were, I gotta take my hat off to the people who worked on the bond committee, because they came together and really took that thing over the finish line and got it done in a big way. And what was neat about that, the best thing I thought about it, was just brilliant, was that they brought people who were in both sides of that camp, that 420 camp, who were both inside there and entrenched in the 420 issue, and they came together to work on the bond package, and they had an overwhelming success. I want to see that happen again. I think we can do that in the future. I think that when this city decides they want to do something, no matter what it is, once we get everybody together, that we can actually do something. And I think the general plan, I hope, will also have the same type of community collaboration.
Okay, so let's talk collaboration as long as the conversation's going that way. As I said, I'm running for the House of Representatives to represent majority of Scottsdale, Fountain Hills, and Rio Verde. I want to work with my community that I'm representing, and local elections are where it happens. So the closer to home, that's where politics happens. That's why we're having you on the show. So tell me, how can I help you if I'm lucky enough or honored enough to be selected to help represent District 23?
Well, I think that we have, a lot of very similar views. I know that, well, obviously your background in education is something very important, and you'll get a chance to work on that. You have your hands on that directly. Whereas Scottsdale City Council, even though I can advocate for SUSD and Cave Creek School District and things like that, and PV School District as well, I won't, because they have their own school boards, I won't be able to have as much of an effect. So you'll be our champion on education and Time for a Teacher and your logo. You're going to be very much needed, downtown working on that, on educational issues. So I'll be supporting you in your efforts to bring education, make it even better. As companies are looking to relocate to Scottsdale, education is something they need to look at. So if I want to talk about economic development in the city of Scottsdale, I need to have the school district as good as it can be to attract new businesses and new jobs here.
Okay. I appreciate that response, and I will work on getting things for education. Let's take it a little bit further.
Okay.
I understand that we have a separate school board. We have separate, and they'll be elected, and we're going to have some of those members who are running for the school board on this program, because we really think voting is excellent, but having an informed vote is really excellent.
Yeah.
So, do you see a way to partner with the current school district? Because really, people move to Scottsdale and have terrific home values, not because of anything else other than, well, I shouldn't say this. The main thing that drives those people to Scottsdale and those home values are our public schools. So it is an asset to Scottsdale. How do you see perhaps working a little bit closer with the city and the school district?
Well, the same thing also, another big thing that city council can do is be involved in public safety. And that also directs the schools, affects the schools and the students and people who live here. So I think public safety also benefits the schools. So I'll be focusing very much on public safety and supporting our police department, fire department, and making sure that they have all the resources they need. But as far as, there's a lot of videos on my website. If you go to my website, you'll see a lot of videos where I'm talking about SUSD and all the great work they've done, especially how they pivoted for COVID. The lift and shift that they did to get those students working from home in such a short period of time is a Herculean effort. And it was one of the shining light that I'm very proud of. So, had I been in office during that, I would have seen what else we could do. But I think groups like the Charos, who are supporting SUSD, I can support those guys and support their efforts. So that's how, as a private citizen, I can work closely with the school district to enhance their value. Whereas city council, there's going to be some roadblocks for that, but limited, opportunities to do that.
Okay. I told you that I hadn't watched the forum yesterday, but one of our guests here, Amy, did, and she kind of couches us as she was struck by how the candidate forum yesterday, they weren't asked very much about people. It was mainly about businesses.
That's true.
So she wants to know, what do you see as the biggest need of the residences of Scottsdale?
Well, right now, today, after we saw what happened last weekend, again, safety is first and foremost in my mind. Is making sure that our residents are actually protected. So that's the thing that I'm really focused on right now. Now let's assume that the situation settles down and things kind of return to normal. The COVID thing is important. Obviously, we're a long way away from getting out of that. There's a lot we can do to make sure our citizens are protected for health and safety as well, not just violence for looters. So there's all kinds of things we can do. We need to be focused on safety of the residents. Quality of life, before this whole thing happened, quality of life is something I was very, very focused on for our residents. As you know, we have so many great parks and open spaces in Scottsdale. I want to make sure those assets are protected and even build on them more. I enjoy, Brahma and I enjoy going to the dog parks, these off-leash dog parks, and we have some great ones. And even though the one on McDonald is kind of centrally located, I would like to have our Parks and Recreation put an off-leash dog park in the south part of the city for us to enjoy as well.
Okay. I heard something return back to normal, so I'm going to push back a little bit. I don't think we had normal. I think we are actually seeing some things in our communities. And we have that here in Scottsdale. I'm going to go to Julie C's question. She wants to know, what do you think it means to promote unity in Scottsdale? What do you think the means is to promote unity in Scottsdale?
Well, I think we need to capitalize on our wins, right? So let's look at the things we can do. We have done again better. I am, like I said earlier, I am very encouraged about what happened with the bond election. I really thought that was going to be another fractured conversation based on 420, and it was quite the opposite. It was collaboration, people working together. I want to celebrate that. I want to remind our community what we can do when we have our mind set to do something. So I want to celebrate those wins and look for other wins like that. We've all come together. We've seen tremendous amount of support for our students who are graduating, the seniors this year. What we're seeing on social media, these celebrations of students are absolutely amazing. And I want to celebrate that. And see, that's an example of the community. Even if you don't have students in schools, I think everybody can appreciate that. And if we can build on that and do that for other things, that's how we can unify people.
So, okay, so talking about the great spirit that we have, what do you think the greatest strength of Scottsdale is? Do you think it's that community spirit?
To me, I think it's the passion of our residents, right? And I can even appreciate even people who I disagree with on certain issues, whether it be development or open space or density or height, whatever it is. I always appreciate their passion because we're all marching towards the same thing. That is a better Scottsdale for everybody. We may have different views on a particular issue here, a particular issue there, but what I've really found is if you talk to somebody long enough and peel the onion back enough, you're going to find a core issue that we can all agree on what that is. Who knows what it is? Maybe I'm a Beatles fan and so are you. Let's start there, right? And work our way towards something else.
Maxwell Silver Helmet.
That's absolutely. That's my nickname sometimes. But no, I really appreciate the passion of everybody who lives in the city. We all recognize it as being a great city. We all want to protect it and make sure that it's the best thing we can do for us. Now, our vision may be a little bit different about what the future Scottsdale may look like, but everybody agrees it's just a wonderful place. And no matter what you're doing, you're always working to advocate for Scottsdale.
Well, I agree with you wholeheartedly that there is always something somewhere with somebody that you can find common ground. And that's from where you build relationships, and everything is about relationships.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me tell a story real quick if I can. I'll make it real short. Something happened to me last year sometime. I was driving home, and I believe it was in the summertime. I was driving down Hayden Road, and we've all seen this happen before. There was a stray dog in the middle of the road. And so I'm a dog lover, and I know that a lot of people out there are as well. And so I pulled over to the side of the road because I wanted to get this dog out of the intersection. And what I saw was several other people on sides of the intersection were also pulling over and getting on the side of the road. And we got this dog into a parking lot of a shopping center, and everybody started getting out of the car, and the dog was walking up to one group and then would move another group, and nobody could actually quite get their hand around the dog. But what I found was people were moving in coordination with each other and collaborating silently. Somebody would go stand behind the other one. If the dog got behind them, then they would push him, they would guide him towards somebody else. And we were all working together for a common goal. I don't know these people's names. I don't know where they live. I don't know what party they represent, but we were all working towards a common goal. Something we all shared was, love of animals. And we eventually caught that dog, and everybody drove away very, satisfied and relieved that we were able to do something good. And I was driving home thinking, what if that person has a completely different view on something that I am so passionate against? I never would have known it, right? And so I want to try to recapture that and have that moving forward. I think about that often, that experience.
Yeah, I love the story. People do love a good dog. Cats, yeah. I'm not sure. I think I might have just lost the cat vote, but I'm a big dog guy. I got 2 of them myself, 2 rescues. Yeah. Hey, one of the things that I don't like how people say words and then don't live those words, right? So a lot of the people run and they say, oh, I want this and I want that, and I'm all for local control, and I'm a fiscal conservative. Well, one thing I believe in is local control. That's kind of why we're having all these candidates on, because the elections that are closest to your home are the ones that matter the most. So back in 2016, the legislature preempted and voted to remove local control where it comes to Airbnb, the vacation rentals. I did live down there by you. They had those great allied homes. They were some of the more reasonably priced institutions that we could kind of stick a family in. But now all kinds of things are going around with the kind of Wild West with the Airbnbs. And people are now trying to go back in and put the genie back in the bottle, when actually they should just repeal the law and let local municipalities take care of it. Scottsdale is very different from Safford. What is your position on the Airbnbs, and where do you see the need for us to go?
Well, it's a super complicated issue, as you just mentioned, right? I mean, we've all seen it where I've stayed in B&Bs myself, and I love it. I think it's a great amenity. It's good for the homeowner if they're a good renter, and and people love them, obviously. I've also seen the other side of that coin where people are actually developing houses to be more like motels with separate entrances and these really large homes, and redesigning them and restructuring them to be small hotels so they can maximize their profit. And then they bring in, some people who, they're on vacation, they're definitely on vacation. And so they can definitely bother their neighbors. So I've seen both issues there. So that's why it's a really difficult issue. I do agree with you that I think local is best positioned to be able to help those folks. I just hope that whatever the solution is, that it actually addresses both. So I don't want to see Airbnbs go away entirely, but I do want to see the problematic homes that are built to be little mini hotels right in the middle of a neighborhood. That's probably something we can't have. So maybe the solution is somewhere in the middle there, where as long as it's a single family home and there's a limit on certain things, maybe we can do something like that. But I do agree with you that local control is always best.
We have another question from Julie. She's, I guess this goes along with the housing. So part of the boomerang effect of the Airbnb is when companies come in and snap up all the homes and turn those into profit kind of things. It does deplete the supply. We've always had a little bit of a, the yin and the yang, right? The good about having high property values is it's high property values, right? You're getting more for your money. The bad news is a lot of people who try to work here in Scottsdale are sometimes priced out of living in Scottsdale. She wants to know if you have anything that you could do or say to promote affordable housing if you get elected.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't talk about the specific projects because I don't know. I mean, it was a while ago, but there's some really cool developers who are looking to do some projects in Scottsdale who in the past have specialized in affordable housing, and they want to bring some projects to Scottsdale, and they're really cool actually what they want to do, and they've had models that worked in other communities, so I'm hoping they'll get a chance to come to Scottsdale. But say for example they might build multifamily housing near a hospital. well, then they may have all their residents may live there, may be specialized towards catering towards the nurses community or the staff of the hospital, and offering them, and be able to do it on an affordable basis. So some really cool, innovative ideas on cities like Albuquerque and Austin and things like that, where this developer has done some things, who are thinking about coming to Scottsdale. I hope they do, and I hope they set an innovative idea for Scottsdale, because we definitely need some affordable housing. And that's another difficult problem, because it's like you said, yin and yang. We want our affordable, we want our housing values, but we also want our communities to be open to everybody who wants to live here, can live here.
Yeah. I got a funny story for you then. Okay. So,
all right, good.
I was the president of the Scottsdale Education Association from 2006 through 2009. And one of the things I did was really try to get the pulse of our members, right? We had a lot of them. We always surveyed. We always tried to get feedback. And a lot of them were not able to live by the schools they worked. And so I tried to come up with a way that we could, as a city and school district, kind of make a swap of land and then perhaps turn a condominium complex into housing for first, second, and third year teachers based on a sliding scale of their wages. Anyway, I ran for the Housing Commission, and I was the only one that showed up to speak to the council out of 3 people, and I didn't get 1 vote. Nancy Cantor kicked my butt. She got everybody's vote, and then their last friend was going to vote, and I'm like, hey, can you throw me a seed right here?
Yeah.
Just a little something to grow on.
Yeah.
Nope. Nancy Cantor.
Well, Nancy's a good organizer.
I left with my tail between my legs. Okay, hey, what's the one thing you like?
Go ahead.
No. We're just about at the end of time, so we are going to play a little game. First, I want to tell the viewers who we're going to have coming up next week, because we have a Friday off where we're going to do a happy hour for all of our teacher friends. Bronwyn's invited. Basically, Monday is Mayoral Mondays all throughout June. This Monday we have Bob Littlefield. Tuesday and Wednesday we have council candidates. First Betty Janik on Tuesday, then Tom Durham on Wednesday. We have a local ER doctor by the name of Kavi Najafi. Dr. Najafi is going to talk to us about the COVID crisis and what he sees actually on the front lines. So tune in for that on Thursday. And then on Friday, we wind up with council candidate John Little. Speaking of which, what would you say you would do if you weren't working or volunteering? What is your number one activity to do?
Golf.
Okay. I do like that. Okay, so we like to play a little game with our candidates and people who come on the show. We try to get to know the real person, right? Not that fake person that sits up there by a sign and kind of says, hey, vote for me. But if you do vote for me, go to curlin23.com. Give me some money, too. Okay, Kevin Maxwell. This is what I call Jeopardy, golf Jeopardy, okay? So these are questions about golf, or actually answers about golf, and I'm going to need you to put that into a form of a question, okay?
Oh.
Answers about golf, you need to tell me in a form of a question.
Okay.
Okay, the Rolling Stones had an easy hit with this word before shelter. Easy hit.
What is a gimme?
What is a gimme? Thank you very much. That was not an easy one coming out of the gate right there. That was not easy. Okay.
Yeah, it took me a second, but what is a gimme? I love it. That's very clever.
Yeah, gimme shelter. Okay, stretcher barrier, quote unquote, stretcher barrier is a slang expression for one of these golf helpers.
Stretcher barrier?
Bearer, sorry.
Stretcher bearer.
Yeah, they bear, so, yeah.
Boy. What is a caddy?
You are correct, sir. Very nice. Okay. The term for an unidentified aircraft or missile is also used on the golf course.
What is a UFO?
I'm sorry, that is incorrect. What is a bogey? A bogey.
Oh, yes, military. Good one. Oh, man.
That's what you get on most holes, a bogey. I didn't want
That's
to give
right.
you the easy one.
What you
Okay.
just said? What's a target? What's an aircraft target? Okay, I would have got it. Okay, yeah.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. It was a good
All right,
question.
you went a little quick on that. Remember, this is Golf Jeopardy. Okay, this is a tough one, but I really want you to think about this. The slogan created in 1921 when a pal of R.J. Reynolds, the ad man, ran out of cigarettes on the golf course. This ad. What is the ad? Oh, I said the question part. This slogan was created in 1921 when a pal of an R.J. Reynolds ad man ran out of cigarettes on a golf course.
There's a golf question. So what is that phrase? Old ad phrase?
They didn't have golf carts. They didn't have golf carts back then.
This is this something about a pack of a camel or never being without a camel or something? What is that? What is never being without a camel?
Yeah, it is about a camel. I'm going to give you a half point there. What is, okay, I'd walk a mile for a camel?
That's right. See, now that's going way back. Our younger viewers are never going to know what you're talking about.
Yeah, only those that are 99 and over would actually have been born during that time. Okay, here's the second and last one. This last name of golfer David is applied to what he called a quote-unquote correction shot.
Who was the guy that his last name's David?
No, his first name is David.
Okay.
The last name of this David. I want you to focus on what he calls, and you might call, a correction shot.
Who is David Duvall?
I'm sorry, we don't call it a Duvall, we call it a mulligan. What is a mulligan?
Oh, okay.
You don't take mullets, do you?
No, absolutely not. The
Okay.
correct, I see. I was looking at the golfer name. You were looking for the golf term. Okay.
That's from his last name.
I was going to say David Tom or David Duvall. Okay.
All right. Here's the last question. The course is where the first ever curling classic will be held on July 20th.
What is Silverado?
No, sir. It's $50 all in with taxes. What is Troon?
What?
Yes! Yes! Yes!
Troon Country Club.
Yes. If you want to play, you get some boys together, girls, whatever, sign it on up. We just announced it tonight. You are here for the first time.
Troon North?
July 20th. It's a Monday. We're going to have an 8 o'clock shotgun start. We're not doing any fundraiser other than a raffle for Lily's Closet at a Holcomb Elementary School. And we're going to ask people to make donations to the campaign. We got it $50 with tax. Boom.
It's in my calendar right now, and I've already got my foursome in. I already know who I'm going to have, so it's great.
All right, awesome. Remember, folks, you go to maxwellforscottsdale.com. You go ahead and, well, you know what? I'm getting flack from Andy Gomez, my campaign manager. I said it's not a fundraiser in funds. Yes, we'll be collecting funds, but it's a fundraiser in fun. Bringing people together, one birdie at a time.
Raising the
one
fund,
birdie
right?
at a time. One birdie at a time. Okay, maxwellforscottsdale.com. Why don't you guys tune in next week when we have 3 more Scottsdale City Council candidates, and Monday is Bob Littlefield. So tune on in, everybody, 5 o'clock. See you later, Kevin Maxwell.
Have a
Thanks
great
very
weekend.
much.
Thank you.
Bye-boom.
Bye-bye.